Welcome, come on in. In this video, I will be giving some updated wealth transfer thoughts and insights, not just from myself, but from other people within the community, insights that have been shared with me. And we will be talking about the Palau ID. As some of you may know from my community post, I got mine, a package in the mail. The seal is still on it. I have not opened it yet, so we will open it up during the stream, and I'll walk you through what the Palau ID is all about. So first, I want to touch on my elevator dream from February. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick review on that, and then I'm going to share somebody else's revelation that I believe directly confirms what's happening in my elevator dream, and we'll go like that. So let me go ahead and share the screen. I was on a cruise ship, and this cruise ship had elevators on it, as cruise ships do. If you've ever been on a cruise, I myself have been on 7 cruises. All right, so cruise ships have elevators, but this cruise ship was having issues with elevators, right? Everything about elevators on this ship was negative. I mean, malfunctions, stalling, even dropping. All right. And I knew this before this point in the dream. So me and my friends, we get onto an elevator. We're going down, right? And the elevator starts to move down and a cable snaps at the top of the elevator. Now, I knew, I had this supernatural knowledge in the dream that there were 2 cables holding the elevator up and only one had snapped. So the cable snaps and we begin to fall, obviously, because the elevator tips. So we feel like we're in free fall. We begin to panic, and then a voice comes over the intercom that says, "Don't panic. The cable that you're still attached to will pull you to safety." And sure enough, we slowly began to be pulled back up to our starting point. We exited the elevator. We got on a new elevator and went down safely, right? When we were on the new elevator, it was like relief, right? We were going down and we went all the way down to the bottom, right? But slowly, safely, relieved that we weren't in free fall. And that was essentially the dream. All right. So that's a refresher on that dream. Okay. Now, with the cable snapping and me still being, or me and my friends on the elevator still being connected to one cable, what Kelly pointed out, Kelly from Belief Bag, is that cable is like a tether, right? A cable that's holding an elevator up technically is a tether. So she thought the dream, the snapping cable, I believe, if I recall correctly, the cable that snaps is Tether, the stable coin Tether, because there have been negative prophecies concerning Tether, right? And at the time, I'm just considering all things that the dream could be saying. And so I was considering what Kelly said, but I was also considering other potential interpretations. But recently, I came across a video from someone else in the community that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, My King Yeshua, right? So this is a video of hers on Rumble. And I just saw this maybe like a week or so ago, week and a half ago. It's speaking of Bitcoin occult origins, the Bitcoin halving. Okay, and we're going to play. I already stopped it.
Today we go.
Of course, it doesn't pick up where I already stopped it at, but good thing I think I recall where. Right here.
Be second. It will no longer hold that position of being. But anyway, what the Lord was saying is that Bitcoin will no longer be first. It's going to be second. It will no longer hold that position of being first. It's going to be second. Now, regarding the dream that I had for the Bitcoin halving, In the dream, I saw a pregnant woman, and the pregnant woman was giving birth to twins, and I saw the womb being divided into two like this. This is the picture I drew excuse me, after I woke up in my dream journal. And I saw her giving birth to twins, just like in the story of Isaac and Rebecca. Rebecca gives birth to twins, right? And I had a dream about a woman giving birth to twins, and one of those twins had the umbilical cord wrapped around their neck, and that caused the child to suffer from lack of oxygen, and the one child passed away. So the one child passed away, and this is what I saw in my dream. The umbilical cord was wrapped around the child's neck, and it caused the child to suffer from lack of oxygen, and the child actually passed away. Miraculously, I found this picture. This particular child in China survived. However, in my dream, the child passed away. And then I woke up and I asked the Lord, what does this mean? And the Lord was speaking to me about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin halving. And he gave me this word first about Bitcoin being second and how it is compared to Isu. And then he gave me the interpretation of this dream where the one twin passes away because of lack of oxygen. And when I asked what the interpretation is, the Lord said to me, go and look up the word tither. So I went and I looked up the word tither excuse me, in the English dictionary, and to tither means a rope or chain used to tie, especially an animal, to a post or another fixed place, usually so that it can move more freely within a small area. So to tither means to tie, and the Lord was saying that this particular child was tithered, right? It was tied. It was tithered. And what happened was when the lady was giving birth.
It's interesting how only one of the two children are tethered, right? And in my elevator dream, there were two cables, one of them snapping, right? Leaving only one tether. Although, again, I believe Kelly's interpretation was that the cable that snapped was tethered, was, the stable coin.
Birth, right? It was tied. It was tethered. And what happened was when the lady was giving birth, the one that was tethered died. The one that was tethered died. So in relation to what's going to happen with Bitcoin, the Lord is showing me that Tither is going to die. And as a result, the birthright, it's linked to the birthright of Bitcoin, where it will no longer be first, it will be second. It will be second.
So we know from my original elevator dream, back in, what was it, 2022 maybe, that the elevator represents Bitcoin, right? And we know that in that original dream, the elevator went to floors 40. Now I'm forgetting. Was it 42, 43? No, it was 43, 48, 50, and 52. That's what it was. And we saw this year Bitcoin hit all of those marks, right? And once Bitcoin hit 52, the very next day I had the new elevator dream the next night, which is amazing in and of itself, which is the dream we reviewed, at the beginning of this stream, right? And so in that dream, it stands, we stand to reason that the elevator in that dream still represents Bitcoin, right? Continuation. use, law of first mention. We use that in scripture, and I believe we can use it in our personal dream lives as well. We can develop a personal dream language with the Lord where certain symbols have meanings to us specifically between us and the Lord. Okay, so the new dream, the elevator is Bitcoin. There are two cables, right? One snaps, and then the other cable brings us back up to safety. We get on a new elevator and ride it all the way down to the bottom floor. Kelly believing that the cable snapping represents tether. I believe Kelly is right. Kelly was right about my first elevator dream that I did not think was a cryptocurrency dream. And Kim is saying in her dream, the interpretation is that tether will die, snapping cable, so to speak, right? And Bitcoin will no longer be first, it'll be second. And I believe these dreams are confirming, speaking the same thing. Kim posted this, it says a month ago, maybe a little more than a month now. It says 1 month ago, but I think it's March 22nd. I posted mine like February 24th, somewhere around there, and I just saw her video like a week and a half ago. So I thought it was interesting, to see that sort of confirmation. What are your thoughts? Hello, Walter. Hello, Kama. Hello, Octavia. Amy says tethered to USDT or tethered to stock market. Bitcoin tethered to tether, if that makes sense. Tether being tethered to Bitcoin, right? So when tether snaps, Bitcoin also drops. JW Aldridge says, so if tether snaps, then USDC will be the only one left as it's the next major stablecoin. I can't say that. I can't say that for sure. Isn't XRP developing a stable coin? I think Shiba is developing a stable coin. So I can't say for sure that USDC will be the only one. But obviously we should be cautious about tether. Let me continue the video and see what she says.
So that is the dream that I had about the Bitcoin halving. I understand that the Bitcoin halving is in relation to miners' rewards, but the Lord was showing me that for this particular event in relation to the solar eclipse, that whatever rituals they're going to do with the solar eclipse.
All right. So by all means, go to her Rumble page if you're interested in watching the rest of that video. But as far as, what I wanted to share, showing the connection between my most recent elevator dream and what in her dream there with the tether wrapped around the child's neck. I think that's the gist of it. Hello, Matt. James says DAI is a stable coin also. Kay Lily says if tether snaps, all that is paired with it will crash. Caden says all my sell limits are to tether. Should I change it to another stable coin? If you feel led. I have some sell limit orders in tether right now, because here's the thing. I'm not holding tether. You get what I'm saying? The sell goes through and tether USDT. I'm immediately exchanging that or converting that into something else. I'm not holding tether, So what I feel is The only way you'll get hurt by Tether is if you hold it for some reason, which I know some people plan to do. Some people's strategy is to take profits, put it into a stable coin, and hold the stable coin. That's some people's strategy. So if you do that and the stable coin you're holding assets in is Tether, well then yeah, you could probably get burned by that at some point. But that's not my strategy. My strategy is not to hold any stable coins. Because there's pros and cons, right? Tether versus USDC. Okay, we have these negative prophecies about Tether. We expect Tether to break, to crash, right? But right now, Tether, the volume that Tether is traded versus USDC is way more than USDC. So hypothetically, if there's a billion sell limit orders out there for Shiba Inu, right? And they're all in USDC, they're not all getting filled because USDC is not getting traded as much as USDT. You get what I'm saying? I didn't phrase that example perfectly because it was just off the top of my head, but I think you get what I'm saying. The volume is greater in USDT, so that's a benefit of trading USDT right now. So you just got to use wisdom. I don't have all my sell limit orders in USDT, but I do have some. I have some in USDC. I have some in US dollars. Old Rounder Bro says, I have struggled to believe that USDT would die, but I continue to listen. Yeah, I mean, I've seen some things here and there, even outside of the prophetic, that would lead one to be wary about USDT, you know? All right, so let's see. Caden says, yes, so I plan to sell to Tether and then buy XRP immediately. Okay. All right, so let me share. Maybe I'll share a little bit between conversations I've had with Kelly over the past couple of weeks. My friend Kelly, I genuinely view Kelly, aka Belief Bag, as a friend, and so I'm grateful for the community on YouTube, the prophetic wealth transfer community, not just the content creators, but obviously the people behind the scenes who send me emails or leave comments and all that good stuff. All right. So, all right. So on April 26th, Kelly texted me. She said, so I told you I would keep you updated on the technical part of what I'm understanding. And by the way, Kelly uploaded a new video recently. So go check it out. Belief Bag on YouTube. She says, last we chatted, April 14th was not the V bottom. The market had one more leg down. So she's referencing something she said to me prior, which I did share in the member section. So y'all are kind of coming in, the public is kind of coming in the middle of this. But essentially, there was a pattern that Bitcoin had taken, which indicated that it was ready for the altcoins to take off. But now she's coming back and she's correcting that, saying that that pattern actually did not finish at the time I last messaged you. It hit that pattern 5 days later. She says April 19th probably was insiders that heard that Consensus had just got a Wells notice from the SEC. So April 19th, if you guys remember the day where things started just dropping significantly, that was April 19th. She says, we haven't broken anything critical. The same exact setup happened in the market when XRP got their Wells notice in 2020. Bitcoin had just broken above its all-time high back then too. She says, we are so very close for altcoins. I personally believe we are so very close for alts, I personally believe. Next week is Federal Reserve meeting for rates. Usually movement happens around that meeting. Bitcoin backer says it may be an exciting 2 to 3 months. I tend to think shorter just due to the short bull run / lean bull dreams, etc. And then she told me I'll see more of her very soon. She has 2 videos. Obviously, she dropped one of those recently. And then on Wednesday, she said, if we come down and touch 52K again before the alt show, I am going to be in awe that your elevator dream continues. 52K was a resistance level, but now it should be a support level. I still believe there's an altcoin show because this is the place for it, according to the charts. And of course, my elevator dream and subsequent vision that happened the next day while in an elevator. Paired with my subsequent follow-up warning dream, where I was adamant and repeating, Kelly, remember your elevator dream, withdraw some XRP. Kelly, remember your elevator dream, withdraw some XRP. I only had a handful of dreams in the last 2 years, and these 2 were a part of those. If we do touch 52K, maybe that will be the V bottom with the bounce where the rotation starts happening into alts. So this was Wednesday. I believe we were at like 56K, right? And we had been dropping for Bitcoin. So she was saying if we do touch 52K, maybe that will be the V bottom, basically the bottom where things will start to run. She said, I hope this is a quick touch if we have to go all the way back down to 52K. Not sure if we will, but something I'm watching. Like we said before, everything always takes forever to play out, and it never goes up in a straight line. It always has to back test supports. Excuse me. So that's what Kelly has said recently. Feel free to share your thoughts or any questions if you didn't understand something I said. Kaden says she dropped the video recently and answered my question regarding Songbird. Great vid. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Now I'll give y'all a moment if you have any comments, but I also want to share some stuff. A brother named Matt has sent me over the past few weeks. He is in the chat, Matt Stockton. And he just said, I've been seeing a dip and run for a while now, but can't see the bottom. All right, so let me share my screen on the email thread that he has sent me. I've already gotten his permission ahead of time. All right, so let me make this larger. Let me see how that looks. I think that's large enough. Let me know if the text is large enough. Old Rounder Bro says, Bitcoin bear crossed on the weekly MACD yesterday, so the market may crash 2 weeks out. I'm expecting a big altcoin rally from now until then. All right, awesome. You know, when you get into bear crossing and MACD, and I don't really know, but it sounds good. The overall message sounds good. so I'll take it. You know, Kelly is expecting alts to run any moment now as well, any day now as well. So we're just kind of sitting in anticipation, you know. All right, nobody has complained about the text being too small, so I assume it's good. All right, so let's just read through some of this. From Matt, he says, so this is all the way back on April 19th. He says, I've been pressing into the flash crash and have a thesis on how this will happen. I believe there will be an even larger conflict than the ones we've seen that will start a liquidation event. So by conflict, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, Matt, but I believe he's speaking of like the conflict we're seeing with the state of Israel and Palestine, you know, conflict in that sort of sense. Um, at this point, there needs to be more sell limit orders and short positioning than buy limit orders. As this event unfolds, I think he meant institutions will liquidate as much as possible. However, their buy orders are much higher than ours, so we'll buy up the low positions and those in the no too, causing the gains to back up, and then the other buy limit orders will execute, causing a new rise in the market. The event is magnitudes larger than we've seen thus far, sending the market into a panic. So the way I understand this is a conflict, a larger conflict, starting a liquidation event. Then for this crash to play out in the way it's anticipated, there needs to be more sell limit orders in short positioning than buy limit orders, right? Because as the sell limit orders are being filled, and ever so often the buy limit orders are being filled, if there's a lot more sell limit orders, it'll just keep sending it down, right? Where if there are more buy limit orders, it'll keep it up. At least that's how I take it. I'm not the most technically savvy person on the markets. All right. Nothing in the chat, so I'll keep going. The Lord says, take your positions and see the victory come through. I keep seeing April blast off and May gains. I see showers in June, sun growing in July, and wheat harvesting in August. Follow the harvest cycles and the sun, for my sun is in a harvest season. All will be given to you. I see crypto markets going up while others are going down. I see crypto being able to buy property for those who can never afford to buy nice houses. I see poverty and debt gone in families and joy in dancing. I am praying in Jesus' name. I also see weeping and mourning because people are lost and the systems of darkness have gone offline. I don't know what this means. We are in a season of gain without lack, finally. And then he shared something about the wheat harvest. Then we go to April 24th. He said, in prayer last night, I got a vision of a chart with a very large drop, then a blip, and a flat line. So I believe that's a large drop, then a short little blip or mini spike, not really a spike, but a blip, and then a flat line. Then the market has to be revived, then back up. I can only believe that it's the flash crash. Also, May is looking good with good things happening in June. I'm starting to see 0.001 on Shiba, so I think we'll be heading to the completion of the 1-0 gone soon, quickly followed by another. My sense of the delay is that the market is shaking itself out before the push. Then he goes on to say, April 30th, I believe the Lord has been hiding the flash crash details for several reasons, but will reveal to those who believe and will share only in confidence. He doesn't want the enemy to know in attempt to stop, pearls to pigs, and etc. If interested, it would be great to connect on this, and I think Kelly has or will have details on this too. I just saw a second cord cut as I typed this, so I think we're close in the May timeframe, then going up in June. I feel like the flash crash is a bootstrap for us all until it hits the prophetic numbers. June is going to be very big. Please see below for my buy limit orders. I probably need to dust them off. So he shared with me his buy limit orders because I asked him. So I'm not going to share that on stream. All right. He says, we're moving into a birthing moment, as the Lord said to me last week. The baby has dropped and the enemy is doing its best to keep it from coming. I believe this is corporate and individual. For Joseph, stored up and planted in the season. I believe in the spirit that he not only stored, but expanded his seeding to take care of all who would come. Year over year, we seeded and the water came down, and now it's about to turn to reap a harvest. For in this season, I will bless you and bless all that you will bless. Victory 2023 says Luna Classic popped some yesterday. Yeah, I think I noticed that. All right. May 1st, another word on Bitcoin. I've been seeing a pullback for a while now, and I believe, I don't know if he meant to say, I believe you mentioned a dip, then surge on a live stream once. To confirm this, I was in prayer and was like, Lord, I don't want the pullback, mostly because of not currently working. But he reminded me that people needed to be shaken out, i.e., who's in or out. And I saw a pullback for a slingshot. This will go further than ever before, but will come down before it lands. Then another one to follow. Follow the pullback, what people are calling the waves, but it's always a pullback before a launch. Watch for a crash and a launch close together, says the Lord, for it will be a sign to my people who have been paying attention and writing down my words. For the Lord is using a crash for a season for a redistribution, but then the markets will catch up again. But my Holy Spirit will be the wind inside their sails and will provide abundance for those who don't want to be in the system. For my system is self sustaining and fosters community. Community will come again to those who want it, for there will be wealth, life, and freedom in my wings. They will fly and not be bothered by the world, says the Lord, just like I made them. Marcus, you are a time teller and a voice into what matters in this community. The community has been holding on to your words and holds it in tension. You hold the keys to this crash, timing, preparation, and what to do. We are sheep with a voice of what we see too. You hold the key in what to do. The details have been dark, but it's now time to shed light on the buttons for buying. Then we go to the moon, for there needs to be fuel in the engines before blast off, and it's time to go. I see May the candle is lit and June blast off. The Lord says you know what to do and what to tell the people. A video and a microphone is all you need to tell the world. Feed my sheep, for all I had was a hill and a bowl to project out my voice. For you have for what you need to do. Like me, I had nowhere to lay my head, for I was not a nomad, but was not home in the world. Be a voice in the wilderness and be my voice of rain, for the voice of rain will reign in the light and in this season. For the words of this world are growing dim, and there's a deep desire for what is real. Be real in the world, and you know what to do. All right, so crash, timing, preparation, what to do. Details have been dark. Now time to shed light on the buttons for buying. Then we go to the moon. For there needs to be fuel in the engines before blast off. Right. And so, I was reading this email. As you can see, there's two paragraphs. So I was reading the first paragraph and I was like, as I'm reading the first paragraph, I'm like, I think I'll do a live stream on Monday. And then the second paragraph was, that word that he gave to me, and that kind of confirmed that. So, as I've stated at the beginning of this live stream, it's just to give some updated thoughts, updated insights. I just had something on the tip of my tongue. But what I feel is just like a stillness, a peace, a patience, you know. Um, I have felt, a shift in June. Back in February when I said March, April, May will be good months, right? And, if someone wants to question whether April was a good month, I mean, if we look at where the market was at the time that I said that in February, we are still up from that point, even though we're not as up as we were, during that run in March, we're still up. But then I said something will change in June. And I said, I don't know if it's good or bad. I'm not necessarily saying the change in June is a crash. It could be an even greater high. And so what Matt seems to be saying is that June will be a blast off. I believe that's what he said. Of course, I can't see it now. I can't catch it now. Hmm. But essentially this summer, overall, the message is this summer will be good, you know, and I just feel like, me personally, I feel at peace because I believe I'm in position. As I've said multiple times, my strategy is just to be in position for whatever comes, whether it's a crash first and then a major run, or a major run and then a crash, right? Because you can be in position, you can be ready for both things, regardless of what's going to happen first. So speaking of crash, so back in November, I was noticing that God was highlighting the number 616 to me a lot. Okay. 616. So much so that I did a little study on it. I don't know. Let me see if this will show up on the camera. Let me stop sharing this for a second. Let's see. So you can see that says November 30th, right? That's the system generated date. And obviously, because I have this filter on, it's not showing clearly, but basically what these are my notes where I went through the whole Old Testament, looked at every book that has a chapter 6 and a verse 16, and took note of the scriptures that stood out to me, right? And I just share that to show you, you know, to give credibility to the fact that like I was really noticing the number 616. And then this may sound silly, but in pop culture right now, in hip hop, there's a little battle going on. Now, I don't listen to secular music anymore, okay? But I'm on social media, I'm on YouTube, I'm still going to catch wind of what's going on in society. So there's a little battle going on between a couple of rappers named Drake and Kendrick Lamar. And it was interesting to me because Kendrick Lamar, one of his songs that he released, he's released like 3 in the past week or something crazy, is titled 616 in LA. 616, like the time, in LA. And that really stood out to me. And what I came to find, you know, because they're saying that's there's symbolism in that title, right? And what I came to find through people pointing out the symbolism is 616 is the birth date of Tupac. So June 16th, and you know, I didn't fact check that. So let me fact check that real quick. Yes, June 16th, 1971 was the birth date of Tupac. And as we know, there have been dreams concerning Tupac and Ethereum and the flash crash, right? And it reminded me of a dream that I had. Not a dream. I heard it in my sleep. This was years ago. This might have been 2016. And what I heard was essentially that in June, my life was going to change in June. Now, hearing this all the way back in 2016, I'm thinking, okay, next year, because I think I heard it after June of that year. So I'm like, okay, this coming June, my life is going to change, right? That didn't really happen, at least in a significant way that I expected from what I heard. But now here we are approaching June of this year. I am not setting a date saying, you know, June is the month of millionaires being made, but there have been other things pointing to June. So I just want to share that to give more credence, or to point to June even more, to say, hey, let's watch this. Let's watch this. Let's watch and see what happens. And also understand that many things have to take place for what we're all looking for the money, the crazy amount of money to be in our possession. Other things have to fall into place to lead to that, right? So don't be so blind and discouraged to think, oh, I didn't, make hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars in April. So that was a failure. That was a disappointment. Many things interconnected to this whole wealth transfer thing happened in April. April was a significant month. No, you didn't become a millionaire, more than likely. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what assets you hold specifically, but things are still happening and falling into place, things that are connected to this. You can't be so focused on, the pot of gold, so to speak. You got to understand the process as well. Old Rounder Bro said, Marcus, do you think the Ethereum crash will occur before the Bitcoin crash, or will they happen at the same time? Well, I believe the last I heard Sharon say about this, and I'm not saying this is the most recent thing that she said, I'm saying this is the last thing I remember hearing, is the Ethereum crash will happen first. Because what she advised, or what she suggested, was placing your low, virtually zero, so to speak, buy limit order. Now, mind you, I am not quoting Sharon, okay? Please go back to her videos if you want to see specifically what she said. A lot of what I'm saying is influenced by other things I've heard and my own stuff as well, okay? But generally, what I believe she stated was place your buy limit orders for Ethereum for virtually zero, right? Once those are filled, take the profits specifically that you got from Ethereum buy limit orders to place a buy limit order for Bitcoin at the price of Ethereum. So, for example, let's say Ethereum is at $4,000. You have a buy limit order for Ethereum at 10 cents. It gets filled. Glory to God. Now you have hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, who knows, whatever you got, right? Take all of that profit you just got from that buy limit order. Now, remember, it's a flash crash. So Ethereum just flash crashed, meaning it dropped down to nothing and went back to 4K. Okay. So now Ethereum's at 4K. That's how you have the profit. Now you take that profit and place a new buy limit order for Bitcoin at 4K, the price of Ethereum. That's what I heard her say. So to answer your question, technically speaking, because I trust Sharon, right? We know in part and we see in part. So nobody has the whole picture. So I'm not sitting here pretending like I know everything. I take some from Sharon. You saw me share Kim's video earlier, right? Kelly has helped me with some of my dreams, like the whole nine. Okay. So I trust Sharon. And so I'm expecting Ethereum to crash first. But also it could happen so closely together that for all intents and purposes, it is at the same time. But technically speaking, Ethereum first. Matt says, I just heard in the spirit, April was raining. In Ohio, we had double the rainfall of average. The seeds were in the ground. In April comes the rain. Okay. So April was the watering of the seeds. As they say, April showers bring May flowers. Old Rounder Bro. Well, Michonne said, yep, that's what I heard her say as well. Old Rounder Bro says, thanks, Marcus. Didn't fully understand Sharon's advice. Yeah, and I double checked that with Sharon personally. And she confirmed that I understood correctly. Kaden says, will this Ethereum flash crash occur on all exchanges, or do you have a specific exchange in mind? I place orders on all the exchanges I use. So I have orders on Kraken, on Coinbase. Now that I got my Palau ID, I'll probably place an order on KuCoin. So yeah, that's my plan. Cast a wide net, if you will. But me personally, I would expect it to be widespread, right? Especially with the restrictions that some people have where they can't get on certain exchanges. At the same time, though, everything isn't for everybody, if that makes sense, right? Like, it's not God's plan for every single person in the wealth transfer to partake in the Bitcoin flash crash, the Ethereum flash crash, Luna Classic profits, WikiCat profits, Shiba profits, Dogecoin profits, is XRP, excellent. Like, you're not going to draw from every single well in the crypto wealth transfer. You get what I'm saying? So that's something to consider as well. Let me pull Matt's email back up. All right, so he shared a picture. He said this is what he thinks is coming with Shiba soon. So I assume this is where we're at right now. Then we go up here, 3 zeros. So this is 4 zeros, I assume. And we go up, drop a zero, come down a little, go up, drop another zero to 2 zeros behind the decimal point, go down. I'm not sure what these numbers are saying. I'm not sure what this is saying. I'm not sure what this is saying. I'm not sure what this is saying. But then a big run. But, these 2 points look to be at the same level. So, I mean, you get the general sense. He says, I feel like we're close. This is today. But what drives everything up is turbulence in the market. I think there will be turbulence in the market at the time of the shift. Why I believe others have spoken it shall be done is that in this last week, the Lord spoke very clearly that there's nothing that the church can't do in the kingdom now. The church will step up in the season, and there will be a shift, a season called the shift. Then he says, if you ever want to get a group together for prayer to see what comes up, let me know. And, I've had someone else ask me to start like a Telegram or something like that. So I think I'm going to look into that. But, I don't want spam. I don't want just anybody in there either. So we'll see. We'll see. Octavia says, how did you get the info on getting on KuCoin? Bitmart finally let me place low buy limit orders. I was on KuCoin before they stopped serving US customers. So I've been on KuCoin. Psalm says, yes, that's correct. I don't remember what I was talking about. I don't remember what you're referring to. Maybe you're referring to what I was saying about the flash crashes, the sequence of the flash crashes. JT says, I had a dream. I saw myself being part of a group of blue whales or sharks, not sure, and the other group was coming from higher above the sky, and they were black and white. They looked like whales. Okay. I mean, I think someone else had a dream. Maybe it was Sharon about the whales coming. Aaron says, did you hear today's word of Joshua? Did you hear the word Joshua Giles gave today? No, I did not. I did not even see the video or anything. Matt says it's a breaking news event that causes this thing to plummet. There are so many eyes on crypto now. I also see people being interviewed after the crash. People like who? MYP Universal says, do you consider BNB Tiger as prophecy accomplished? Not necessarily. I'm not even really familiar with BNB Tiger prophecy. I only own BNB Tiger because a friend gifted me some BNB Tiger. So that's the only reason I have it. I'm not even aware of what the prophecy specifically is. And as far as I know, nobody actually was able to profit off of that. I believe it was a glitch, so I would say no. Old rounder, bro. No, I have not been verified yet. I haven't even opened my Palau ID package yet. We're going to do that here momentarily. Hit the like button for Brother Marcus family. Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you, Julian. hit the like button if you don't mind. If you're getting something from this, don't hit it superficially. If you like this, then like the video. Aaron says, he said it's due season time. It's now. It's only a matter of when. Constantcessant says, would love to be a part of prayer intercession. Matt says, I see normal people being interviewed for predicting it, and I see tech industry people trying to say what happened, in quotations, what happened. Got you. Makes sense. Okay, let's see. Looking at my notes here. Okay, so I think, hello, Obsidian Skin. God bless you too. Thank you, old rounder, bro. So this is intermission time. I think I'm going to draw or gift 5 channel memberships right now, and we're going to gift the other 5 at the end of the stream. Before that, I want to thank today's sponsor, which is me. I don't have a sponsor, so the reason I'm able to do this is just the revenue I get off of YouTube, right? So thank you for putting up with the ads, because that's how I get revenue. And thank you to the channel members. Before I gift these 5 memberships, I get most of my YouTube revenue comes from channel memberships. So thank you. And thank you to those who have done one-on-one calls with me. That's my biggest source of income right now. And so thank you to everyone and all the gifts, the donations that come in from various people. All of this helps me to be able to do ministry in this way. So thank you. Okay, so now the next part of this stream, we're going to talk about the Palau ID. All right. So I think most of you are aware of what this is, what the Palau ID is, what it entails. Sorry, the filter, you can't see it too well, but this is the envelope. Still has a seal on it that I have not opened yet. So how do I want to do this first? Let's look at some info first, and then I'll open it. When I made the community post about receiving my physical Palau ID, a brother in the community messaged me and asked if I could make a video showing how to apply for the Palau ID. And my answer was no. It was just like a blunt no. I didn't send him that, but that was the answer in my head. Because, and if he's watching, I'm sure he is, obviously you'll understand what I'm saying. Because the application process is self-explanatory. It's, you go to the website, right? This website right here. Let me share the screen. This is the website. I also have a link pinned in the live chat. You can just click the link in the pinned comment in the live chat. There's also a link in the description. It's a referral link, so it would help me out in some way. I don't know how. I get like some reward points or something that are redeemable. It's not even like money directly, but if you want to click the link that I provided, that would be helpful in some way, shape, or form. I guess we'll see. So anyway, you go to this website, right? You click apply now for $248, right? On this main page, they also got info here. Vitalik Buterin, Ethereum co-founder, is involved in this, okay? It's been talked about. BBC, Bloomberg, CNBC, Wall Street Journal, Yahoo Finance, Decrypt, CoinDesk, all right? You apply now for $248. It takes you to this page, gives you some info on it. This is what you get: digital residency, physical card, yada, 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 right? There's some info on here that you can read through. And don't worry, we're gonna look at some frequently asked questions. All right, you choose how long you want. Most people are going to choose 1 year, $248. That's the cheapest option. You go to buy now. Then it asks you to create an account, which I already have an account. So I can't even walk you through the application process because I've already done it. And it's not even going to take me to the application. All right. But it's self-explanatory. Once you create an account or log in through one of these methods, you fill it out like you fill out any application you've ever completed in your life. You do it with this. The only difference is you got to provide a photo with this, right? So there are specifications for the photo, you know, plain background, that sort of thing, certain size, that sort of thing. That was the longest piece of the application, was taking the photo, uploading it, all of that. Okay. The rest is just a typical application. Do you have to be a US citizen to apply for the Palau ID? No, you can be outside the US. Yakov White says, I got mine, still haven't used it though. All right. So now let's look at some frequently asked questions to answer some questions that people may have about the Palau ID, why you would use the Palau ID, should I get a Palau ID, etc. Well, first, let's see, what is Palau? Okay. Palau is a country. All right. It is a sovereign nation. All right. Here's their flag. Okay. Archipelago, Pelago, Pelago, whatever, however you pronounce that. A bunch of small islands, basically. All right. Part of the Micronesia region in the Western Pacific Ocean. It is a sovereign nation. Not only that, but Palau has relations with the US. This is the US Department of State website. All right. Following World War II in 1947, under UN auspices as part of the Trust Territory of the Pacific Islands, the US assumed administration of Palau. In 1982, Palau signed a compact of free association with the US. Palau gained its independence and established diplomatic relations with the US in 1994, with the entry into force of the compact, under which the US remains responsible for Palau's defense for 50 years. All right, so we're responsible for their defense until 2044. Palau is a sovereign nation and conducts its own foreign relations. The US and Palau cooperate on a broad range of issues. All right, so you can read that. All right, so some people might have thought this was like a sketchy thing. Like, are we doing some dark web, black market deal to get around exchange restrictions? Palau and the United States have relations, right? Then you got this investment climate statements. So open that up. Okay. It talks about basically the economy of Palau. Their official currency is the US dollar. And my bad, the font might be a little small. All right. Official currency is the US dollar and has 3 US headquartered banks. All right. Since independence, Palau has operated under a compact of free association with the United States. Okay. Palau uses the US dollar, has no central bank. All right. Essentially, I believe there's nothing to worry about as far as the legitimacy and the legality of the Palau ID and all of that. Okay, so let's go here. Let me look at the chat. Caden says, I went to Palau once while I was living in Seoul, South Korea, or Seoul, South Korea. Beautiful place. They have jellyfish you can swim with. It's probably similar to a place I went to in the military called Diego Garcia. Old Rounder Bro says, I use it successfully for Bitmart, Bybit, and KuCoin. Yeah, I haven't heard of anybody having any issues getting onto an exchange using the Palau ID. All right, so let's look. What is RNS, right? So the website is rns.id. What is it? RNS Root Name System is the digital identity platform developed to support the application and issuance of sovereignty-backed digital IDs. What is Palau ID? The Palau ID is a government-issued identification card that can be used for any purpose that requires legal proof of identity. RNS offers users a blockchain-based ID solution. Right? This is created specifically to get around the borders, so to speak. Right? Palau ID, DID, digital ID, is a digitalized legal ID that enables individuals to self-control their identification settings by enabling them to choose various levels of identification disclosure. Legal proof of identity that is now supported by several exchanges. Right? So this is blockchain based. It is on the Ethereum network. It is based on the Ethereum network. Here is that point system I was telling y'all about. So if you use the link I provided, I guess I can earn some points. I don't know. It says you can redeem it for discounts on hotels, flights, car rentals. I mean, what is a sovereignty-backed identification card? A legally valid identification card issued by a sovereign nation, the Republic of Palau. We issue both a digital identification on the blockchain and a physical ID card for customers who have passed our screening process. All right, so the digital identification you get almost immediately. It's the physical that takes, you know, it took me from application to receiving this in the mail 37 days. Does the ID work for know your customer in exchanges? What can the ID be used for? We have reported use cases from our members that they're able to use the Palau ID for identity verification and KYC purposes. Most of the crypto exchanges, banks, neobanks, etc. Can I use the ID for hotel check-ins? Palau ID is accepted and supported by hotels around the world. All right. Does the ID have a time limit? 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, then it can be renewed. So most of us, we're selecting the 1 year option. So don't forget, it expires after a year. You got to renew it. All right. So are there any specific questions you have before I open it up? Because I'm not about to read through the whole FAQ. Photo requirements, you can read this on your own. You know, just like a passport has specific photo requirements, specifications for the photo, the same for this. Right. Oh, a lot of, okay. Thing is about address, what address to use? Oh, on the exchange? Old Rounder Bro says just don't give your address. Well, that's good to know. Patrick Barnett says interesting that the tether symbol has a circle around it. Y'all are talking about the swimming with jellyfish. Okay, let's open this up. There's no specific questions about the Palau ID. All right, I am opening this on stream. I have not looked at it yet. All right. Palau Digital Residency ID. And here we are. Let me put it I don't know. Let me put my hand close to it so the filter doesn't hide it. But you catch the drift. You can see I clearly have a physical ID here. Right. There we go. All right. It says, welcome to the metaverse on Earth. Interesting. It says, together with Tim Draper, Ethereum's Vitalik Buterin, and Palau Digital residents from 83 countries, we offer you our warmest welcome to the Web3 world. We humbly present to you your official digital resident card from the Republic of Palau. And then there's like a pledge on the back of it from the children of Palau, encouraging environmental preservation. Julian says Palau doesn't work for Binance. That's unfortunate because I think Binance is a exchange I might be interested in getting on. Alrighty. So that's that. Let me check. Walter says, wow, came out handsome on photo. I think that's because you're not seeing it in person. This is actually a terrible photo. And I know people probably always say that. No, I'm being serious. This was a bad photo, but I did not care. I genuinely, it took me long enough to take this photo and meet the specifications. Because first I tried to upload a photo I already have, right, on my computer. And for some reason they wouldn't accept it. So then I had to take a photo and, get all the specifications correct. And the photo does not look good. It doesn't, but I don't care. Old Rounder Bro says you may be able to get a physical address in Palau in the future. I think I read that somewhere. Yeah, it does say that on the website. It does say that. Let me see. Our team is currently working on the regulations required to make Palau addresses and numbers feasible. Also, this does not make you a citizen of Palau, okay? Does not make you a citizen. U.S. citizens can stay in Palau for a year on a visa. And if you're a digital resident, you can extend that by up to 6 months. They're saying Binance doesn't allow you to set low buy limit orders. Oh, well, then I guess there ain't too much reason for me to get on there. I had my wife get one due to my past discrepancy with the law. If you pay the $248 and they say no due to your background check, there's no refunds. Dang. Well, yeah, that's a great tip, Julian. Thank you for that. So, but I wonder what would make them deny you. I guess certain things on your record, but I wonder what specifically on your record would cause them to deny you. All right, I think that, well, hold on. Let me look at this community post because somebody asked me something specifically about the Palau ID. So I just want to make sure that I answer that, or I have answered it. They said, hi, Marcus, can you create a detailed video explaining the Palau ID significance, how it works, and its impact on the community? Provide tips for obtaining and using the Palau ID effectively. All right, so I can't provide tips on using it effectively because I have not used it yet. As far as obtaining, like I said, it's as simple as filling out an application. It's very simple. As Julian stated in the chat, be wary if you have certain things on your record. The $248 is non-refundable if they choose to deny you. Let's see. And the significance, how it works, I think we've covered that in the FAQ reading. And essentially, for those of us in the prophetic wealth transfer community, the purpose of it is to be able to get onto exchanges that don't service US customers, but they service Palau customers, right? That's essentially what it is. And this is official, you know. It has a governmental seal on the back. Cool, 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 cool. Yeah, might as well visit Palau, you know. Might as well if it's benefiting us in this way. You know, I've had top chat on this whole time instead of live chat. So I apologize if I haven't seen your message because of that. When you put top chat on, sometimes it skips certain or doesn't show certain messages. So I just put live chat on. Scrolling through the chat. Tip number 1, use email. I recommend Proton. It's encrypted. Do not use a phone number. Why do you say do not use a phone number? I mean, I don't recall what I used, but, and are you talking about for the Palau ID application, or are you talking about getting on a certain exchange? Oh, when doing KYC. Okay, so when you go to use the Palau ID, use your email address and not your phone number, not your physical US address or whatever restricted country you're in based on whatever exchange you're in. Just say that you're in Palau and don't give any other non-Palauan information. All right. And it's not sketchy. It's not, you know, if it was sketchy, they wouldn't accept, you know, Palau, or they would put, okay, if you're a Palau resident, this info is mandatory to provide us, right? So anyway, I won't go too much into that. Yakov says use a VPN. Yeah, I mean that never hurts. Using a VPN regularly, you know, I use mine all day, every day. But I don't think it's necessary though. If you have the Palau ID, because it's based on your ID, like that you have to upload your actual ID, you know. And so I don't think you have to use a VPN in that case, but it doesn't hurt. All right, let's gift these last 5 memberships. Well, first, you know, I want to share with y'all. So with my one-on-one calls, I have two clients who are long-term clients that we're going through 90-day 90-day packages, right? 90 days worth of weekly sessions. And that's been extremely edifying, fulfilling. And it's not obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously, but that's not just wealth transfer related. You know, we do talk about, they are both invested in the wealth transfer, so we do touch on that, but it's deeper. It's more of a mentorship thing. working on, spiritual disciplines, intimacy with the Lord, finding and pursuing purpose and things of that nature. I have a few testimonials. Let's see. Let's see if this shows correctly. All right. So this is from one of my long-term clients recently. She said she's been meaning to message. I've been meaning to message you earlier to share with you the sense of joy and peace I felt the day after that mentoring session, but got caught up and forgot. The joy I felt from within is unexplainable. It's amazing. Your words are very encouraging and a great reminder that it's not what we do to deserve God's love, but it's God's love for us that he wants to speak and get close to us, So I was encouraging, because she was feeling like she had to earn God's willingness to speak to her, and that's why she's not hearing God. And so, I encouraged her and kind of corrected that mindset, because that's not how the Lord works with us born again believers who are his children. Let's see. And so I'll just share one for now. I gotta compile my testimonials, and I'll do that at another time and post that. But that's just one for now. So if you're interested, in mentorship, coaching, wealth transfer related stuff, purpose related things, obviously the link is in the description to my link tree. Been going through a book in the members section on hearing God and in practical ways, doing practical exercises on hearing God, and so that's been fulfilling. So God bless you all. Thank you for being here, and talk to you soon.